Hey y'all, I'm Derek. Welcome to Bad Movie Friday Night. Well, last month was a blast. Even if it ended up with me having an alien come through my TV, making himself at home, forcing me to remind him not to eat the couch on a daily basis.
So for tasty! What?
So anyway, this week I wanted to cover the first American-made video game movie to have a theatrical release. Super Mario Bros. The movie. Super Mario Bros. Is a 1993 movie based on the classic video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. In the game, two brothers, Mario and Luigi, run through the Mushroom Kingdom and try to save the princess from the evil Bowser and his minions. And that's basically the storyline of the movie, with a little bit of a twist, which I'm not sure was intentional. The studio wanted a more childlike fantasy, wanting to appeal to the target audience of the video game. The directors, husband and wife team Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, wanted to take the film in a more adult direction, having reportedly thrown out the script on the first day and having daily rewrites to the point of exhaustion for the actors. According to leads Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, Morton and Jankel were impossible to work with, and after the first day, Hoskins and Leguizamo spent their nights drinking heavily just to get through production. Apparently, the directors were so egotistical and argumentative, their own agents came to the set and threw them off, causing the assistant directors and editor to scrabble together a usable film. Yeah, that's just a little bit of the drama that went on behind the scenes. So you can probably tell already, this movie's going to have a few problems with it. And so just like Mario, I'm going to need some mushrooms to get through this. Fried mushrooms to be exact. Right now, all I'm doing is cleaning them. A lot of people think that this is a strenuous activity that takes forever, but all you really need to do is take a damp paper towel and brush off the tops and the stems. After that, we're just going to pat off the excess moisture and let them air dry until they're ready to fry. So let's get started. Our movie begins with some bad animation with voiceover by Dan Castellaneta, who you may know as Homer Simpson from The Simpsons, or if you're totally nostalgic, Grandpa from Hey Arnold. Cut to 20 years ago, so yay, this movie's officially dated, where a random woman runs through New York and drops a package off at a nunnery. Later, she runs into the sewer where she's met by... Oh my God! It's Dennis Hopper!
We all float down here, Georgie.
Anyway, Hopper plays Koopa, who kills the woman, while the nuns open the package and find an egg, which hatches into a baby, which opens up a bit of a nitpick. So from this, we can deduce that the woman is from another world, and she just abandons her child on a church porch. Why? If she is from another planet, how did she know she could just leave her child there and it would be taken care of? How did she know it was a church or some other building of authority? How did she know it wasn't her world's equivalent of a crack house? Okay, that's enough, because there's a lot to get through here. That's not the only plot hole in this movie, but if I pointed every single one out, this show would be an hour long. Trust me when I say, if you were able to drive across this movie, you would have a tire blowout. Cut to the modern day, and we're in our hero's apartment, where they get a job, which leads to a clunky transition to meeting Daisy, our female lead, who is leading a team of students in an excavation of dinosaur bones in Brooklyn. I'm just going to say, Brooklyn is built on loam, and if there were any bones there, they probably would have been found by then. Anyways, an evil construction mogul, who's basically a mixture of Goodfellas and Donald Trump, threatens her, so she runs off to find its phone, and finds two things on the way. First, our forced comic relief, played by Richard Edson from Platoon, and Fisher Stevens, who you may know from Short Circuit, but I prefer to remember as the villain from Hackers, because I love that movie. Don't judge. Second, our heroes, who offer her a lift back to the site in their windowless van, and Luigi invites her to dinner. Seriously, they're about a lap full of melted Whoppers away from having a restraining order saying that they can't be within 100 yards of a playground. So, now that the mushrooms are done, I'm going to start on the batter. This is a very simple batter, and it's a variation of a tempura. Instead of using soda water in the tempura, we're going to be using beer. The reason being, it adds a little bit more color and it adds a little bit more flavor. So in this bowl, I'm adding a cup of flour, a tablespoon of cornstarch, a teaspoon of salt, and finally a 12-ounce beer. Then I'm going to mix it all up and let it stand in the fridge for about 30 minutes, just so that it can thicken up and settle. So, after dinner, and a little tomfoolery, Daisy is kidnapped by the comic relief, and Mario and Luigi follow her and end up in a different dimension. Everything seems different, but they can't really put their finger on why, until they see some dinosaurs. They have a "we're not in Kansas anymore" moment, where they get robbed and a crystal Luigi got from Daisy ends up in the hands of a large woman wearing jet boots. She also uses them to get the stuff off the high shelf in the pantry. If my mom had a pair, she'd never call me again. Anyway, Daisy's placed in a holding cell with a few other women, including Mario's girlfriend, and the comic relief tell Koopa the plumbers have the crystal. Mario and Luigi are arrested alongside Mojo Nixon. No, I'm not kidding, there's no joke there. That's really Mojo Nixon, where we learn the brother's last name. Mario. Yes, they are literally named the Mario Brothers. That's it, I'm done. If they're not taking this seriously, why should I? Okay, tantrum over. Let's fry these guys. I've got the oil hot, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these mushrooms, dip them in the batter, swirl them around, and then just drop them in the oil. And we're going to cook them until they're golden brown. So, they meet Koopa and find out he can de-evolve people, and plans to take this technology to the human world and de-evolve humans into monkeys, and of course, take over the Earth. They escape to the desert, and Koopa sends the Schmuckatelli brothers out to get them, but only after evolving them to make them more intelligent, which leads to them being even more insufferable. Seriously, you can tell this was supposed to go a more kid-friendly route because of these two. They're written like the villains in a bad Saturday morning cartoon, like Sonic the Hedgehog. If they wanted to go more adult, they should be written like villains in good Saturday morning cartoons, like Sonic Sat AM. Okay, so the schmucks join Mario and Luigi to try and take down Koopa. But first they have to get the rock from the lady in red, who's a bouncer at the Boom Boom Club. Ugh. Okay, so they get the rock and make to storm Koopa's building, where they find out that the former king is still alive and is a fungus. Get it? Because he's the king of the Mushroom Kingdom. You may now boo at that joke. Oh, there's still a lot of movie to go through, and the mushrooms are almost done. I'll make a sauce. Let me see what I got here. Yeah. Mayonnaise, a perfect neutral base for a sauce. Good. Horseradish, excellent. Lemon juice. Lemon juice is great for sauces because it helps cleanse the palate. And what else? What else? My Cajun curry spice mix. Excellent. Okay, so Mario rescues his girlfriend through a bunch of silliness. A bomb is let off, and Koopa makes it to the real world. But that's all reversed by things. So this whole series of events is, say it with me, completely pointless. So, come to the final showdown with Koopa, where he's hit by a handheld devolving ray, and he gets turned into a bunch of goo. The king returns to his normal form, which begs the question, how? I mean, he wasn't hit by an evolving ray or anything, he just appeared as a human again. There's no reason for him to do this other than they needed him back in the story for a happy ending.
Oh my god, the Deus Ex Machina! Its power levels are over 1,000!
But wait, there's a little coda as well. Mario and Luigi return to Brooklyn, and Daisy stays in the dinosaur world to be with her father. Cut to a few weeks later, Mario and Luigi are having dinner, and Daisy bursts in and says she needs their help. The brothers heroically follow her into the sequel that will never happen. And the mushrooms are done. So what we're doing is putting them on a nice plate with a cup of the sauce that we just made. By the way, these custard cups, go get some. They are perfect in the kitchen for mise en place and wonderful for portioning out sauces during parties. So, final thoughts on the movie. There's a lot of problems with this movie. The pacing is jumpy, the special effects are subpar even given the time period, and the storyline is all over the place. And the tone switches so quickly it gives you whiplash. Also, there is a lot of dark in this movie. The dinosaur city seems not to have any sunlight. I'm guessing the directors were going for a gritty film noir feel, sort of like in The Crow. But when given the slapstick and the one-liners, it just confuses the personality of this film to no end. Imagine Blade Runner starring the Three Stooges. It just doesn't work. There were a lot of rewrites during production, and it shows in the final product. Are there any good points to this film? Yes, and Bob Hoskins as Mario is at the top of that list. Bob Hoskins in later life was asked in an interview what he considered his worst performance, what did he regret, and what movie did he actually hate being in. The answer to all three questions was this movie. But I disagree with him. He oozes charm in this film. And even though his character was written with every bland 90s tagline possible, he makes it seem natural and endearing. If there's any reason to see this, it's Bob Hoskins. Also, although the plot is muddled and the scenery can be pretty dark, there are a lot of interesting visuals and ideas. So, all in all, it's a good movie for a good fry. So gather up all your sci-fi friends, fantasy friends, and gaming nerds. Get yourself a power-up mushroom and laugh at everything that's wrong with this film. Well, thanks for stopping by, thanks for tuning in, and come back next week when we look at a parody film and eat something you've probably never even heard of before. But here's a little hint, it's from Oz. Bye, y'all.